What's up, blockheads? We are here on a press ride with Harley Davidson. We're doing some tracking shots and we got some downtime right now. Standing here with this beautiful white noise from this waterfall behind us and this amazing backdrop. Brad Richards joining us here, who is the VP of Design for Harley Davidson. And I figured we would just record a quick video going over some of the design ideas, intention behind the new Nightster. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to you and take us through it.
This is the 2022 Nightster. And you know, the concept with the Nightster 975 was to embody the traditional Sportster silhouette, what we know as sort of the modern Sportster silhouette, which really came from Iron 883 and Iron 1200. You know, we had some design challenges with this motorcycle in terms of the fact that it didn't have a traditional loop frame to put the 45-degree V-twin in. We had no frame, and we had a 60-degree V-twin, RevMax 975T. So the bike really has a front frame here. This is the front module, which really has the steering head and kind of carries the front wheel and suspension. And then there's a rear section that bolts onto the back of the powertrain, and that has the dual outboard shocks like a classic Sportster and Bob Fender aluminum struts. We have this front frame structure, the rear frame structure. So that really did present a bit of a challenge. We also had a radiator to deal with. And then we also had a pretty massive airbox above the RevMax 975. This thing puts out about 90 horsepower, so it has a pretty massive airbox here. So that presented a challenge in terms of where do we put the fuel, where do we put the air, and how do you deliver this beautiful, peanut/walnut like fuel tank. Three of those things couldn't live in the same space, so one had to go. So we took the fuel and we put the fuel actually under the seat. And that did a couple things for us. It allowed us to have the airbox to get the 90 horsepower that we wanted out of the powertrain, gave us the little Sportster looking top cover, and also put the center of the gravity on the motorcycle super low.
Very noticeable. Yeah. Incredibly noticeable in the handling.
Yeah. So the dynamic capability of the motorcycle is greatly enhanced because of that. So once we had that licked, it was a matter of the classic Sportster 19-inch, 16-inch wheel set, 1916. Speed screen, of course, smaller headlamp compared to a big twin. We used the radiator and some of the componentry for the battery and so on down low again to keep that CG low, to kind of frame the powertrain, if you will. And that's something that we do at Harley Davidson. We pay a lot of attention to. The powertrain is the crown jewel. We want that thing on display. The first thing you should see in a Harley is the V-twin. So we framed the V-twin with the rest of those components. Kind of last, the cherry on top of the cake was the round intake. It's on the other side of this this cover. Goes in under the top cover, up, kind of come and then straight down through a filter into the downdraft system that goes into the RevMax 975.
Is the filter accessible through the
No,
top
you
cover?
actually have to take the top cover. Actually has to come off to get the filter.
Gotcha.
It has a classic Sportster rider triangle, so we call it the H point, but your hip position relative to handlebars and foot pegs.
Okay.
Same exact position as Iron 1200 or Iron 883.
Awesome.
So the bike feels very familiar when you're on it, except it's about 80 pounds lighter.
That's significant.
Which is not familiar.
Yeah, that's significantly lighter. 80 pounds is, man, that's a lot. So you guys were able to shave most of that in the frame?
A lot of it was frame or swing arm, but the whole bike was really optimized for weight savings.
Okay.
So the engineering team just did a knockout job looking at every component of the motorcycle. But a massive gain is really in the frame. That's the one reason why we essentially got rid of the loop frame. The engine becomes connects the front of the frame to the back of the frame. Becomes kind of a stressed member, and that's how you get the weight savings, among other things. There's a lot of aluminum on the motorcycle and magnesium to do that. And we did that because we wanted the motorcycle to feel very approachable and unintimidating. It's a lighter Sportster with a lot more horsepower.
Yeah.
So we have ride modes, and so you can essentially you have road, rain, and sport that are accessible through that button, and they do have pretty radical personalities, each of those modes. And you can hit rain mode, and somebody who just got their license can jump on this and ride it no problem.
Much more tame in rain mode.
Yeah. And then there's folks that are much more skilled in sport mode are having a hoot out here.
Yeah.
It's really surprising, I think, a lot of people with how
No, it really,
how
yeah,
fun
for
this
real.
bike is to ride.
So I had my experience with the 1250 Sportster S, and I was thinking, man, this thing screams. And then getting on this one, it's like obviously much smaller in CC.
Yeah.
And you would think, oh, you're gonna be able to feel that it's slower, but you really
I
can't.
think the thing that strikes me about it is that those of your viewers who have ridden 883 and 1200, like when you go from 1200 to 883, it just feels like the bike's heavier,
Yeah.
That's how it feels to me. I mean, but when you go from Sportster S to Nightster, they're they're both great, fun, like personalities, but they're
Yeah.
different. This one's a little rowdier. It feels like kind of like the aggressive little brother.
That's funny. It's like whenever I first got into the valve time kicked in,
Yeah.
it felt like really scrappy.
It's got a great intake noise as well when you're up into the revs. It the sound that it reminds me of, I realized today riding this thing, is that because it was like, you know, we've been riding it for a while. I'm like, what does it remind me of? And if you, any of your viewers who have seen the chase scene in Bullet with Steve McQueen, the Mustang, I think it's a '67 Mustang against the Charger. Steve McQueen's Mustang, when it's on throttle, that's what this sounds like.
Oh, nice.
It's that like throaty, like you know. It just sounds amazing. So it's fun riding it out here, but we really hope that your viewers get a chance to throw a leg over it and ride it and kind of judge for yourselves. And but we're stoked about the new the new Nightster. It's awesome.
For sure. I've been getting a lot of good feedback, especially the fact that it's a little more traditionally styled from a lot of my viewers. So I know a lot of people are excited about that. I think it's super cool. The way the center of gravity feels really low, obviously adds to the handling quite a bit, and it still feels like a scrappy bike. What was one of your favorite things or biggest challenges regarding design?
It was definitely the little tank.
Yeah.
Trying to, because Sportsters are known for the peanut tank and the walnut tank, and when we started off, we had air, fuel, and everything up here, and the tank was bigger, and we were struggling with the overall look of the bike. And it was that kind of, hey, on V-Rod we put fuel under the seat. Why don't we give that a try? And that really allowed us to do a bunch of things, shrink that tank down, and that was a breakthrough moment for us. But up to that, I wasn't sleeping very much when we were kind of at the beginning of this project, and the fact we didn't have that traditional frame to hang all those components on. I wasn't 100% sure that we could get there with this architecture. We knew that Pan America and Sportster S were going to be easy because, like I said this morning, nothing had come before those bikes, so there was nothing there was no template
precedent
visually that anybody was going to be judging the bikes on.
Right.
But this motorcycle, there's definitely a template and sort of a familiarity with the aesthetic that we had to nail. So that was a bit daunting at first, but I feel like we got it. And the bike looks great sitting still, looks great with a rider on it when the rear end compresses a little bit. And we just can't wait to see what everyone does with these motorcycles in terms of customization. Yeah,
one of the things you were really pushing is the instrument of expression, and so you guys are wanting to put them out there and for people to get their hands dirty and make them their own.
100%. That's one of the most important things about Sportster, if you think about the DNA of the bike, is that they've just been carved up and re-welded and shaped into so many different things. And we want to make sure people still have the ability to do that if they want. If they want to ride it as is, that's fine. We want to give them a very beautiful product out of the box, but we also want to give them a blank canvas for customization. And we're just going to be growing our catalog of parts for Nightster. We already have a great suite of parts, and it's just going to be growing from here. So, and then you'll just see what folks just do in their garage with the Sawzall and a can of black spray paint, which is always fun too.
Yeah, I imagine it'll take a little bit. Most people probably won't want to do that to a brand new one since it just came out, but we'll definitely be seeing it over the years, I'm sure. Especially the fact that the engine is now a stress member. It's going to be interesting seeing what people do to come out with to change ergonomics of the bike and bolting stuff straight onto the engine, because it's not replacing an entire frame.
Yeah, there's no fuel here anymore, so I'm just excited. As a guy who builds bikes myself, I'm excited about not having to deal with fuel on top of the engine. So you could do all kinds of really cool body shapes and things, and Tracy body.
What was Hide Togashi?
Hyde Motorcycles. He just did a beautiful. I like that bike is really clever. Those all 6 bikes were great in the video, but that bike is pretty neat.
Yeah, it's all one piece from here to here.
He took advantage of the fact that he didn't have any fuel to deal with.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think they're calling me. I'm up next. So, hey, man, thank you for the interview. Greatly appreciated. You guys be sure to drop your comments down in the comment section below. Let us know what you guys think of the Nightster. Appreciate the interview, man.